It's late. The house is finally quiet. The dishes are done, or close enough, and you've just sat down, maybe for the first time all day. And in that stillness, before you can even enjoy it, the thought arrives, the one that's been waiting for you. You're tired. Not sleepy tired, something deeper than that. Because here's the thing you may have never said out loud to anyone. You have been sleeping. You went to bed last night. You closed your eyes, and you woke up this morning just as tired as when you lay down. That's the kind of tired I want to talk to you about tonight. The kind that sleep doesn't fix. The tired of the woman who holds everything together, who remembers the birthdays, who checks on the one who's struggling, who worries at 2 a.m. about people who have no idea they're being worried about. The tired of carrying things no one ever sees you carry. If someone asked you tomorrow, "How are you?" you'd smile and say, "Fine." You've gotten very good at fine. But tonight it's just us. So let's tell the truth. You've tried resting. You've taken the nap, the quiet Sunday, maybe even the little getaway. And the weight was right there waiting when you got back, like a coat hanging by the door. Because the tired you're carrying was never about your body. If that's you, and I think it might be, or you wouldn't still be listening, then I want you to stay with me tonight, because I found something. I was sitting with a verse you already know, a verse you could probably say from memory, and I discovered that the English words we've always read are hiding something. Not on purpose, but hiding it all the same. And what's underneath those words is not a smaller promise than the one you thought you had. It's a bigger one. And it was written for exactly the kind of tired you're feeling right now. Here's the verse. You know it. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. It's on coffee mugs. It's stitched on pillows. It's the verse your grandmother kept taped inside her Bible. And maybe, somewhere along the way, it stopped working for you. Maybe you've read it on a hard night and thought, "That's lovely, but I came to him, and I'm still exhausted." If that's ever crossed your mind, you are not failing. I want to say that clearly. You are not doing it wrong. Something else is going on. Because in that one sentence, there are 2 English words that are simply too small for what was actually said. 2 words where the translation isn't wrong, exactly, but it's like pouring an ocean into a teacup. The first one is the word rest, and the second one, well, the second one is hiding 2 verses later, and almost no one ever stops to look at it. Before this video is over, I'm going to show you both of them. And when you see what those words really say in the original language, I believe something in your shoulders is going to come down an inch. So keep that question in your pocket as we go. What did Jesus actually promise, if it wasn't rest? Hold on to it. We'll open it together. But first, you need to stand where the first listeners stood. Because this verse didn't fall out of the sky onto a coffee mug. It was spoken out loud on a real afternoon to real faces in the 11th chapter of Matthew. And the people in that crowd heard something in it that you and I read right past. Picture them. Galilee, around the year 30. Farmers and fishermen's wives, grandmothers who had buried children, men whose backs hurt from work that never ended, women whose hands were cracked from it, people taxed by Rome on one side and measured by religious expectations on the other, told in 100 ways, by 100 voices, that they were not doing enough, not clean enough, not careful enough. Sound familiar? Different century, same tired. And into that crowd, Jesus says a sentence that begins with the word "come." Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened." Then he says something that, to our modern ears, sounds strange, almost harsh. "Take my yoke upon you." A yoke. You know what that is, that heavy wooden bar laid across the necks of oxen so they can pull a plow or a cart. To us, it sounds like the opposite of rest. You're exhausted? Wonderful, here's farm equipment. It almost sounds like a joke. But to the people standing in front of him, it wasn't strange at all. Because in their world, the word yoke had a second meaning, a technical meaning, and every single person in that crowd knew it. In Jewish teaching of that era, a yoke meant a rabbi's way, his teaching, his interpretation of how to live out the scriptures day by day. Every rabbi had his own yoke, and when you became his student, the saying was that you took his yoke upon you. You bent your neck, so to speak, under his way of living. This wasn't a fringe idea, it was everywhere. There's a line preserved in the Mishnah, the great written collection of Jewish teaching, from a rabbi named Nehunya ben Hakana, who lived in the generation around the destruction of the temple. He said, "Whoever takes upon himself the yoke of Torah, the yoke of government, and the yoke of worldly care are lifted off of him." Listen to the logic of that. You will carry something either way. The only question is what? Take up the right yoke, and the crushing ones lose their grip on your neck. And it goes back even further. About 180 years before Jesus, a Jewish teacher of wisdom named Ben Sira wrote a book your Bible may or may not include, depending on your tradition, but a book the people of Jesus' day knew well. And near the end of it, Ben Sira makes an invitation to would-be students that will give you chills. He says, in essence, "Come to me, you who are unlearned. Put your neck under the yoke of wisdom. Bend your shoulders and carry her. And at the last, you will find the rest she gives." Did you hear it? Come, yoke, rest. The same three movements, in the same order, written almost 2 centuries before that afternoon in Galilee. This was a known melody, a teacher's invitation. The crowd had heard this song before. And here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Not every yoke being offered in that world was kind. Jesus himself, later in this same gospel, describes teachers of his day who tie up heavy loads and lay them on people's shoulders while never lifting a finger to move them. That was the religious weather these people lived under. Always another rule you might have missed. Always the quiet fear that God was keeping score and you were behind. Many of the women in that crowd would have felt it most of all. Measured constantly, and rarely by a measure they could meet. So when they heard the word yoke, they didn't only hear an invitation. Some of them flinched. They had been under yokes before. They knew what it was to carry someone else's standards on a neck already tired. Maybe you know that feeling too. Not from a first-century rabbi, but from a church season that left bruises, or a family that handed you a role instead of a love, or simply the voice inside that says you should be doing more. A yoke, to them, could mean rescue, or it could mean one more strap. Everything depended on whose it was. Which means, when Jesus opened his mouth that day, the people listening recognized the form immediately, the way you'd recognize the opening notes of a hymn from the first chord. But then he changed one word, and the change is everything. Ben Sira said, "Put your neck under the yoke of wisdom." The rabbis said, "Take up the yoke of Torah." Jesus said, "Come to me. Take my yoke. Learn from me." Not a book, not a system, not a set of standards you could fail. a person. For the first time in that long tradition, the invitation wasn't to bend your neck under a teaching. It was to walk beside a teacher. Hold on to that, because now we're ready to open the words themselves. And this is where it gets beautiful. Let's take that sentence you've known all your life and walk through it slowly, in the language Matthew wrote it in, Greek. The way you'd walk through a house you thought you knew, turning on lights in rooms you never noticed were there. Start with the word weary. Come to me, all you who are weary. The Greek word is kopiao, and kopiao does not mean busy. It doesn't even mean tired the way we casually say it. It comes from a root word, kopos, that was used in everyday Greek for a beating. To be kopiao is to be worn down as if you'd been struck, labor that has gone past effort into depletion. It's the tiredness that sits behind your eyes. The first word out of Jesus' mouth, after "come to me," is a word for people who are not merely busy, but spent. He is not calling the people with full calendars. He is calling the people with empty tanks. Now the second word, burdened. In Greek, it's a form of the word fortizo, and the grammar here will undo you a little. It's written in what's called the perfect passive, peportismenoi, which means literally, those who have been loaded down. Passive, as in done to you, not loads you went shopping for, loads that were placed on you, by circumstance, by loss, by other people's needs, by life. Think about what that means. Jesus looks at the crowd and distinguishes in a single word between the burdens we choose and the ones we never chose. The sick parent, the grown child you still lie awake over, the grief that moved in without asking. He's saying, I see that you didn't pick this up. It was laid on you. I know the difference. And then comes the promise. And I will give you rest. Here is the first of our two small words, rest. In English, rest mostly means stopping, a nap, a break, feet up, kettle on. And that's exactly why the verse can feel like it isn't working, because you've stopped plenty of times, and the weight was still there when you stood back up. But the Greek word is anapauō, and anapauō doesn't mean to stop. It means to refresh, to restore, to cause someone to recover their strength. The old literal rendering is striking. Not, I will give you rest, but I will rest you. As if rest were something done to you, the way a gardener does something to soil. And I don't say gardener by accident. Scholars found this very word, anapauō, in an ordinary Greek farming document, a papyrus from about 100 years before Christ, where it's used as a technical agricultural term. It described what a farmer does when he rests a field. You may have done this yourself if you keep a garden. You let a bed lie fallow for a season. You plant nothing in it. And to a passerby, that bed looks idle, lazy even. But you know better. That soil isn't doing nothing. It is being restored. The nutrients are returning. The ground is quietly becoming able to grow things again. That is the word Jesus chose. Not, I will give you a pause, but I will do for your soul what a wise farmer does for exhausted ground. I will make you able to live again. Now do you see why your naps haven't fixed it? Let me put it in the most modern picture I know. You've had nights where you put your phone on the charger, a full 8 hours, and picked it up in the morning already half drained, because 24 things were still running in the background the whole time it sat there. The screen was dark, but nothing underneath had actually stopped. Friend, that is you and me. We sleep, but the worry app keeps running. The guilt keeps running. The what if something happens to her keeps running. all night, in the dark. Stopping is not the same as being restored. Sleep can close your screen. Only anapauō shuts down what's running underneath. And anapauō is not something you achieve. Look at the sentence again. I will rest you. It's something you receive. If this is touching something in you tonight, would you do one small thing for me? If you'd like more evenings like this one, sitting with a verse until it opens, there's a subscribe button just below. And it would mean a great deal. But only when you're ready. We're not done, because the second small word is still waiting, 2 verses down. And honestly, I think it's the more beautiful of the two. Jesus keeps speaking. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. And then verse 30, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. There it is, the word easy. In Greek, the word is chrestos. And here is where I have to be honest with you. Easy is not what chrestos means. Open any Greek dictionary and you'll find that chrestos means good, kind, useful, well-fitting, fit for its purpose. When it described a person, it meant someone kindly and worthy of trust. When it described a thing, a tool, a garment, it meant well-made, serviceable, suited to the one using it. Nowhere in that word is the idea of effortless, and the difference matters more than almost anything else I'll say tonight. Because if Jesus promised an easy yoke, then every hard season of your life becomes an accusation. If it's supposed to be easy, and your life is not easy, then someone must be failing, and you'll assume it's you. You may have carried that quiet accusation for years, but he never said easy. He said chrestos. My yoke is kind. My yoke fits. Think of what a yoke maker actually did in that world. And remember, Jesus grew up in a builder's workshop. A good yoke wasn't pulled off a shelf. It was shaped to the animal, carved, smoothed, fitted to the shape of that one neck and no other, so the ox could pull a real load all day without being rubbed raw. The load is real. The work is real. But the thing across your shoulders is not the thing cutting you. That's the promise. Not a life without weight. A weight that has been fitted to you by a kind hand. And one more thing about chrestos, just because it's too lovely to leave out. In Greek, chrestos, kind, is one letter away from Christos, Christ. One letter. Early believers noticed it and smiled about it. The kind one. The fitted yoke and the one who fits it. Almost the same word. Some things in language feel like a small gift left where only the slow reader will find it. Now, before we step back, look at one last thread, because it ties this whole passage to a promise much older than that afternoon in Galilee. When Jesus says, "And you will find rest for your souls," he isn't improvising. He is quoting. 600 years earlier, the prophet Jeremiah carried these words from God to a worn-out people. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 16. So when Jesus speaks that line, he's picking up a promise God made centuries before and saying, it's still good. The offer never expired. The crossroads is right here. I am the ancient path, standing in front of you. So let's open the loop we tied at the beginning. I told you there were two English words too small for the promise underneath them. Now you've seen both. Rest, which in the original is anapauō, not a pause, but a restoring, not stopping, but being made able to live again, the way rested ground becomes able to grow again. And easy, which in the original is chrestos, not effortless, but kind, not a lighter life, but a fitted one. Put the whole sentence back together with its real words, and listen to what Jesus is actually saying. Come to me, all of you who are worn down as if beaten, all of you carrying loads you never chose. I will restore you. Walk under my yoke, the one shaped for your neck by kind hands, and pulled beside me. You will find, like the old promise said, restoration for your souls. Because what I lay on you fits you, and what I ask of you, I carry with you. Now bring that home, to your kitchen, to your chair, to tonight. Your tired has a name now, and the name is anapauō. You are not lazy, you are not weak in faith, you are spent. And the very first people Jesus called were spent people. Your load has a name too, peportis menoi, the loads that were placed on you. You didn't choose the diagnosis, you didn't choose the worry over that child, the empty chair, the role of being the strong one. It was laid on you. And here is what I need you to hear. He said so. In one Greek word, 2,000 years ago, he acknowledged what you've never been able to explain to anyone, that there's a difference between the life you picked and the weight you were handed. He saw the difference then. He sees it now, in you. And the promise over your life is not the small one on the coffee mug. You don't need another nap. You've tried that. Bless you. You've tried everything. You need anapauō. You need to be done what soil is done to, restored under the surface where no one can see, in the part of you that has been giving and quietly going empty. That is exactly, precisely what he put his name to. I will rest you. And the life he's inviting you into is not the easy one you were maybe falsely promised once, the one whose absence you keep blaming yourself for. It is the chrestos one, the fitted one. There will still be weight next week, we both know that. The people you love will still need you, but there is a way of carrying it where the bar across your shoulders has been shaped to you, where it stops cutting in the same old place. And do you remember what makes a yoke and not just a burden strap? A yoke is built for pulling together. It joins. The invitation was never carry this alone, but properly. The invitation is be harnessed to me, and we pull it together. Whatever furrow you are dragging through this season, you were never meant to feel the full weight of it on one neck. One more thing, and it might be the most personal. Look at who the invitation is addressed to. Not come to me, all you who have it together. Not all you who pray enough. All you whose quiet times are consistent. All you who feel close to God lately. Come to me, all you who are weary and have been loaded down. The address on the envelope is your tiredness itself, which means the very thing that's made you feel far from Him, the exhaustion, the running on empty, the fine that isn't fine. That is your invitation. You qualify by the thing you've been ashamed of. Tonight, the tired woman in the quiet kitchen is not at the back of the line. She is the one being called by name. And I wonder if you'd let me say one thing more, gently, before we talk about what to do with all this. Somewhere along the way, You may have started treating your own restoration as a luxury, the thing you'll get to after everyone else is taken care of, after the visit, after the holidays, after things settle down. Except things never settle down, do they? There is always one more person who needs you first. But think about that fallow field one more time. A farmer doesn't rest his ground because he's gone soft on it. He rests it because he wants it to keep giving for years to come, because he loves what grows there. If you keep planting every season, year after year, without ever letting the soil be tended, the harvests get thinner. You've felt that, haven't you? The patience that runs out faster than it used to, the prayers that feel like one more chore. That's not a character flaw. That's depleted soil. And the one who made you is not asking you to push through it. He's asking you to come, tonight, as you are, in your dressing gown, with your unfinished list, and let him do the tending. Receiving his rest is not stepping away from the people you love. It's how you'll still be there for them next year, and the year after that. So what do we do with this? Tonight and this week? Something small, something real. Here is my invitation to you, and it is only an invitation. Tonight, before you turn off the light, I'd love for you to try this. Think of one burden you are carrying that nobody knows the full weight of. Just one. Don't gather them all. That's a habit of yours, gathering everything at once. Just one. And then, say it out loud, in a whisper if the house is sleeping. Name it. The worry about your son, the loneliness since he passed, the money, whatever it is, give it its real name, because we cannot hand over what we will not name. And then say this to Jesus, in your own words or in these. Lord, I'm not putting this down because I can't, but I'm done pulling it alone. Take the other side of the yoke. Notice what that prayer is not. It is not quitting. You are not abandoning the people who need you. I know you never would. And he isn't asking you to. You're not even claiming you feel different yet. You are doing one thing only, ending the part where you pull alone. And then this week, here's the practice. Every time that same burden rises up, and it will, probably by tomorrow morning, that's just how burdens are, you say the short version. Just, the other side is yours, Lord. 5 words. In the car, at the sink, at 2 a.m. You're not solving it each time. You're just refusing, gently, over and over, to climb back into the single harness. That's it. That's the whole assignment. It is small, but anapauō, remember, is not something you accomplish. It's something he does. Your part is only to stop blocking the doorway. And if tonight's verse met you somewhere real, would you share it with one woman you know who's tired like this? You know exactly who came to mind just now. Send it to her. Sometimes the kindest thing we ever do is simply pass the invitation down the table. So let me leave you with 3 things to carry, and these are light, I promise. First, your weariness is not your failure. It is your address. It is the very thing his invitation was sent to. Second, the promise was never a pause. It is restoration. I will rest you, the slow, hidden mending of soil. Let it be slow. Slow is how soil heals. And third, he never promised easy. He promised kind, a fitted yoke, a shared pull, a hand on the other side that does not let go. So tonight, when you lie down, and I hope it's soon, it's late, may you lie down as a field lies fallow, not abandoned, but being restored. May the God who sees every load that was placed on you carry the weight of the night watch, so you don't have to. May you wake an inch lighter, and may you walk through this week yoked, not alone, matched step for step by the one who is gentle and humble in heart. Good night, dear one. You are seen. You are not pulling alone anymore. If you'd like, tell me in the comments. Just a word or two is plenty. Which burden will you hand over tonight? I read them, and I pray over more of them than you'd guess. And if you want to sit with another verse together next week, you know where I'll be. The kettle's always on.